Man, just
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another episode here of the Final Whistle here on the Bama Standard Network. Hit that like, subscribe button. I got my main man, my brothers, my Avengers, my cast of crazy guys, the Avengers, as we go by, my rowdy group of guys. And we got a great show tonight. So we're going to be talking about some really interesting things. So get in the chat. Tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your aunt, tell your uncle to hop on and listen to the Final Whistle. Get in the chat. We'd love to shout out everybody. Shouts out to the chat that's already going crazy. But before that, let me introduce my guys. To my immediate right, our lead recruiting analyst, guy who just got back from vacation, the one and only Dan James. How are you, Dan? You're on mute. Right off the gun.
Already. Look at that. Strike one already. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Glad to be in the building. Shout out to everyone. We're back here with the Avengers. We got an action-packed show. Let's get to it. Everyone be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, so you'll be able to get our content. We're here every Tuesday night. Most Tuesdays, I guess.
Most Tuesdays here on the Final Whistle. And ladies and gentlemen, my main man, we call him Debo. We call him, I don't know, maybe Thanos. He does it all. The one and only Luscion Graves. How are you, sir?
You know what, Matt? It's Tuesday. I'm here with the boys. We got some stuff to talk about. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a little bit different than normal, but I'm excited because it's deep and it's about the SEC. And let's face it, roll daggum Tide, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
Roll daggum Tide. And the guy who's a cigar connoisseur, savant now, Mr. Around the Table Sports. We're going to start calling cigars Around the Table Sports. That'll be his new handle. Mr. Everything College Football. Got the birds chirping in the background. The one and only Ty Hayes. How are you, sir?
Can't complain. I'm raging at these lawyers, but we'll talk about that later.
Lawyers. Raging at lawyers. Hey, as long as they're billing you, you're good. And ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend. I think this guy had something to do with the creation of the Yellowhammer. The Jaeger bomb, and the number one Denny dog advocate, one and only Daniel Pettey. Pettey, how are you, sir?
Not too damn good. I'm an advocate for something that hasn't been brought back. So until they bring back the damn Denny dog, I'm pissed off. How are you? How are you guys?
I know you're so.
I think we should start a running clock of that, Pettey, in the background.
I look, national championship, clock. Denny dog.
We need it back. Greg Byrne, listen.
Haven't won one since you took it out of the stadium, Greg.
You can get the offensive linemen to sponsor it, be NIL sponsors of the Denny dog. I mean,
it's good business. It's just good business.
It's just good business. You can have one with the bratwurst and call it the Brailsford. I mean, my mind's just going everywhere. My mind's just going everywhere. I'm just going, sorry. But we can't do that on this show and talk about hot dogs and all that stuff because we have too many pause moments moving forward. But if you want to have your lawn
between buns,
yeah, if you want to have your lawn looking just as good as Brian Denny, but have some nice rocks, some nice stone to enhance it, to make sure you have the best yard in the neighborhood, go to Lamb Stone Inc. and get your stone needs. Daniel Pettey, can you speak more about Real Rock Stone?
Absolutely. If you've ever dreamed of having that beautiful natural stone on your home, well, now is the time. Do not wait. Go to realrockstone.com. That is Lamb Stone Company's website. Of course, after the show, But look, they're located in Aniana, Alabama. They're one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. And if you tell them we sent you using the promo code, the Bama Standard, you will receive 10% off your purchase of stone today. So look, if you're building that dream home, don't wait. Go to realrockstone.com today and get that beautiful natural stone from Lambstone.
Get you some good stone. You need to get a shirt that says Real Stoners Lamstone Inc. That would be pretty good. But that's neither here nor there. So guys, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to do a lot of SEC conversation, just to kind of get the show open running. So guys, let's keep it in the SEC conference. Let's look to the 25 season and look at who could potentially be the top 5 SEC quarterbacks. Do we want to say going into the season or, going into the season? Okay, perfect. Since it's preseason, yeah, and it's off season right now.
Oh, I was doing magic ball. I'm calling it by the.
You calling it what's going to happen at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
you can go me last if you want to.
All right, shouts out to our brother CBS receipt Chris James. Luckily, he's not here. He would do the top 15 SEC quarterbacks.
He'd be naming backups.
Yeah.
He'd have every quarterback from the last 5 years, 3 deep.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, Keelan Russell probably going to have a package, and they'll probably even find some spots for.
Awesome.
We can't pile on.
Actually, I saw Chris's list. He has Shane Falco listed on there.
It's not a bad pick.
Oh, man.
Surprise, Lance Harvard.
So, Ty, do you want
Dude's
to take a stab at this first, since you're all around the table?
I'll take a stab at this, and I'm going to do who I think is going to be really just quarterbacks I'm excited to watch. No particular order. I'm going to start with a new guy in the conference, John Mateer, transferring from Washington State to Oklahoma. If you watched him at Washington State, you know this kid can play. His offensive coordinator follows him to Oklahoma. Oklahoma typically known for great offensive lines. He's going to have a great offensive line. If you're Oklahoma, you hope that you don't have a Chris James list of injured wide receivers going into this year. Guys, I've never seen anything like this last year. OU's injury report week to week was something I've never seen before. It was you couldn't script it, and still they beat Bama. That's a conversation for a different day. But I think Mateer is going to be a guy I'm excited to watch too. Ty Simpson, right? I'm assuming that he's going to be the guy to go ahead and get that job in this upcoming season. I think Key Russ is going to push him until the very end. I think it's going to be a close competition, but Ty Simpson, I think, has the tools to be successful in this offense, especially with what Grubb wants to do. I think all 3 guys have the tools to be successful with what Grubb wants to do. And I'm excited to see it. I think there's a great wide receiving group around him, good offensive line, great running backs. So that's going to be interesting. Number 3, I'm going to go DJ Lagway, right? I gotta keep it good for the kids from Texas. I really think DJ Lagway is going to do some good things for Florida. Came in last year for Mertz when he was injured. My only question for Lagway is how injured is the shoulder, right? Because if the shoulder is really compromised, I am going to pull a Chris James here because he's not here, and I'm going to give you 6 just because I'm not sure how that shoulder is. So in place of DJ Lagway.
Well, he hadn't picked up a ball this offseason, Ty. So
Yeah,
the talent's there, but that's the big question mark. It's a real concern.
He didn't throw in the spring, correct, Ty?
No. And he just posted a workout, but I you know how that goes. So give me DJ Lagway / Lenoris Sellers, because I think Lenoris Sellers is an absolute weapon for South Carolina. South Carolina had a lot of people drafted, still have that absolute freak on the defensive side of the ball, but I'm interested to see what they do offensively. All right, at number 4, give me Arch. Listen, I have absolutely defended Arch Manning since he was in high school. When Mike Farrell wrote that piece saying if his last name was Smith, he'd be a 3-star, I said absolutely not. If that was the case, LeBron James's sons would be the number 1 players in the nation, and they're not. Did he play against the best high school competition? No, but the kid can play. And for anybody saying he didn't camp, that's not true. He did camp at Clemson at their camp threw absolute dimes as a sophomore or junior, went viral for it, and then didn't camp anymore. So he wasn't active during camps, but he attended some. And I think that he is a super athletic guy with a brilliant offensive-minded head coach in Steve Sarkisian. And finally, give me Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier, another year in college football. I think he's one of those guys that the experience will help him. So that's my 6. Shout out Chris James for not being here.
Let's go. I love the Chris James CBS drop.
Yeah, you probably actually cut out about 30 minutes of this show by him not being on here naming his lists.
Like
So everybody goes to bed early
Roebuck.
tonight.
Chris will be like, okay, going back.
Dan used to. Chris would be annoying Dan when they were kids, and he'd hand his ass that Sears Roebuck catalog that's about that damn thick, and say, "Memorize that shit and read it back to me."
Speaking of Dan, give us your top 5.
Oh man, yeah. So mine, I'm gonna try to do mine in a particular order. You know, from best to. I'm gonna start really with production. You know, so it's experience and production. So you have to. With that being said, I'm gonna have to go with Garrett Nussmeier, number 1. You know, a guy threw for over 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns. You know, he had an incredible season following up behind Jay Daniels. You know, so there's a redshirt senior. You know, he had the pedigree. You know, so he's gonna be number 1. Number 2. It can get a little tricky, you know. So I'm gonna go with SEC experience first. So my number 2 would be Lenore Sellers at South Carolina.
Love that pick, Dan.
Yes, 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, and to mention this year also, you know, he has, you know, a guy that you're very familiar with, Matt, as offensive coordinator. You know, Mike Shula. Yeah. So, you know, we're going to see how that works out. You know, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Third, I'm going to go with John Mateer. You know,
that's the one.
You know, over from Washington State to Oklahoma. You know, like Ty said, passed for over 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You know, but that's impressive in itself. But also, you know, the guy rushed for 800 yards. As well, you know what I'm saying? So a dual threat, you know, so
and he's coming with his offensive coordinator, so there's a continuity where he doesn't have to learn a new offense.
Right. So that's why it get kind of tricky with 2 and 3, you know. So 4, man. And I'm like, I'm about to give 6, man, because these next 3.
You got that James blood in you.
I got the James blood. The next 3, and I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna put these in any particular order, but we're gonna say DJ Lagway, Arch Manning, and Diego Pavia. You know, so
wow, like there we go.
Pavia,
I like the Pavia one.
I like
Love it.
Pavia.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Can I do my list real quick? And y'all gonna get a big kick out of this. Jackson Arnold, Gunnar Stockton.
Oh, you started at the bottom. Now you're here.
We're working our way up.
I'm sorry. I just had to throw some jokes. You know I gotta roast Auburn whenever I get a chance.
You didn't bring in Aguilar? You don't have Aguilar?
I said Aguilar.
Who did Kentucky end up? What cast off did Kentucky get? They always get a cast
they
off.
They got an experienced guy.
No, they got Calzada.
Zach Calzada. Yeah.
Hell, he's trying to catch up with that other Auburn quarterback that transfers every damn year.
All right, enough of me, Luscion. Give us your top 5.
All right. Since y'all Chris James the living shit out of this topic.
Hey, we can't help that Lagway's hurt. So it's
Lagway fucked it up.
I'm gonna approach this from a slightly different angle like I normally do. I'm gonna go which quarterback I think it has the highest explosive ceiling with the offense they got around him. And first and foremost, I'm going to go the Alabama quarterback. I'm not sure who it's going to be at right now. It's Ty Simpson, but I'm going to say the Alabama quarterback. I think our offense has the highest explosive possibility in the conference. And that's not just me being Homer. That was me looking at all the different weapons we have throughout our wide receiver room, our running back room, and our tight end room, and how strong our offensive line is going to be, which I hate to tell you, people, having a good offensive line is pretty important to a quarterback success and in turn an offense success. So I'm going to go Alabama quarterback number 1. Number 2 is going to have to be Arch Manning in Texas, just because of Steve Sarkisian, what they're bringing back on their offensive line, and just the absolute weapons they have at wide receiver. Number 3, I'm gonna have to go with DJ Lagway in my top 3, just because of the athlete he is, who they brought back on the offensive line as well, and the weapons they have at wide receiver. They're big, and that can give a lot of people in the SEC some trouble because we got a lot of teams with short quarterbacks. Next, give me John Mateer. I think it's intriguing, him and his offensive coordinator coming to the SEC. I want to see what he's about. I also challenge the dual threat quarterback effectiveness in the SEC because defenses are fast now. I know ours is, and everybody's had to adjust for what Jalen Milroe was last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's defended. And lastly, I'm going to keep it, to 4, or how many I said. I'm going to go with Garrett Nussmeier, however you say that dude's name.
No.
I think he is going to be the key to their season. If he has a good season, LSU is going to be pretty successful. And if he falls on his face, I think that program might be on its way to the hot seat because they ain't really been the same LSU they've been of the years before Kelly got there. So that's my pick on the top 5 SEC quarterbacks.
Pettey, I'm interested to hear yours. I know what you got. I know it's one name you got on yours. What's yours, Pettey?
All right, so this is where I think it's going to end up, not projected, because whatever. I don't think that's how it's going to be. Number 1, Nussmeier, he makes every throw on the field. They got lost because LSU's defense is trash, but their offense was still there. Like whoever threw out his numbers, I think it was Dan or either Ty, he threw for 4,000 yards. But it's not just that. He makes all the throws on the field. He's a hell of a quarterback. Number 2, by the season's end, I'm sorry, he's living up to it. Arch Manning's that he's going to be. He's. What's crazy is they're gonna, will he live up to the uncles? But he's the clone of his grandfather in the way he plays the game. And I hate to be this, but the fan in me that grew up in Mississippi with the name Manning his whole life, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the kid is. But I think
me too.
I also know that name, they don't take it too damn serious. He doesn't take it that serious, which is going to keep him humbled. The kid's going to be the real deal. Manning, number 2. Number 3, I think by years in, Lenore Sellers, he takes that next step. That guy, I mean, he's not – there's quarterbacks that scramble and then there's quarterbacks that run. Sellers can run. And if he can take that next step passing, man, watch out. South Carolina is going to be a threat again this year. Number 4, season's in. You give my boy the best talent he's ever had at the position, and I promise you he's going to get production out of it. Austin Simmons will be a household name by year's end. It's his first year. Will he be there? He's got more talent. He's got the best arm talent from the people that are in that building that has stepped into Oxford since Eli Manning. And it's better. So, I mean, his arm talent is special. We'll see what Kiffin can do with it. We know he can do stuff with quarterbacks. So I got Austin number 4. And again, this is one that the talent, I'm kind of with Ty and Lou on this. The talent's there. So I believe if he does pick up the ball and throw it, man, watch out. DJ Lagway. I saw the kid in person. He's he's a specimen. He breaks out of tackles. He's going to be a ball player if he can get healthy. But I do want to say, too, that I left off that I won't be surprised if I'm dead wrong that are in the top 5, maybe not Simmons or maybe not Lagway, would be Mateer. I think he's going to be special. I think he can be we'll get into the coach hot seat later. That's going to be a part of that. But also Lou, you're dead on. I think Alabama Man, don't sleep on that offense this year. I think Alabama's offense has the chance to be one of the top 3 in the SEC again this year, and that's gonna be led by that. Don't happen if your quarterback's not getting it done. I won't be shocked to see Ty Simpson's name in the top 5 quarterbacks number wise by the end of the year. But right now, not on it. But yeah, that's my 5. I've talked.
Can I ask a quick curveball question?
I love. You saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
What'd you say?
You saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
No.
Sorry, no Major League fans. Not am I too old?
Out of all you guys' list, who do you think is the most overrated?
It could also be the one we all debated. I think it could be Lagway. Because the problem was, as great as he looked and as physical as he is, he had an interception problem. He didn't play much, and his interception to touchdown ratio was very bad. We want to get on players that like to throw picks. Go look at Lagway's numbers. He threw hell, and he didn't throw many passes. There was a lot of games he was only throwing 10 to 12 passes when he did, and he would throw 2 or 3 interceptions. That's not a good ratio. He's got to cut back on that. If he doesn't, he could also be just as big of a bust.
Ty?
I'll go next. No, I think I don't have much. The only argument I would have for that, Pettey, is he's a freshman, but that's it. Like, you're 100% right on everything you're saying there. He did have an interception problem. That's got to change, because if it doesn't change, it could go the other direction very quickly, where he's a guy that's going to make you great plays, but he might very well cost you big plays. So that's very fair. Mine's going to be a little bit shocking, because Dan gave the numbers. Pettey talked about it. Mine might be Nussmeier. Gentlemen, he had an absolutely incredible offensive line. He had some great wide receivers. Now it's LSU. They're going to have wide receivers. They're going to have great wide receivers. I know this. But are you going to be able to replicate a season you had last year if your defense still stinks? Spoiler alert, I think it's going to stink.
Yeah.
And you don't have the offensive line that you had last year. I have a big question on that.
They all went pro. Every one of them. He lost his entire offensive line to the league. Ty, that's a good argument for. I could see that too.
Luscion, give us your take. Who you think's probably the most overrated of all the SEC quarterbacks? You're on mute.
For sake of debate, I'm going to say Lenore Sellers.
That's where I was
because a lot of his success is going to have to do a lot of his success is going to have to depend on the health of his wide receivers and his skill positions. If all their wide receivers are hurt and he ain't got no playmakers, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I don't care how great of a freaking athlete he is. If he ain't got the pieces around him. And not to mention, he got sacked 33 times last year.
Correct. Yeah.
That's something that's going to have to improve. I mean,
great answer. Great answer. And if he doesn't take that step passing, it could hamper that. He's got to take that next step throwing.
And it's year 2, and everybody's got a lot of film on him, so things could be.
Man, a name we didn't hear though. I want to show a dark horse. Man, don't sleep on Marcel Reed out at A&M. That kid's got a little something in him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
all those players do.
But
hold on, Dan. I want to hear Matt. I want to hear your most overrated. I want to hear Dan's. But Justin said he's got a wild card.
Yeah,
that I want to hear. But also, Pettey, Austin Simmons may have been my favorite pick of this entire segment, because I thought that kid looked special.
Yeah,
I love that pick.
He man, and that's where I try to bite on the Ole Miss shit, because I know it'll come across homer, but I do have a little more insight. I hear what's going on inside it, and I know what people are saying, and I know about the kid. He's watch out for him, man. He could be something.
Justin, you're wild.
Hey, listen, my wild card. Nobody's mentioned this name, and I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it would have stole my thunder, and I would have cried my double wide. Anyway, I don't really live in a double wide. Okay, I know I'm from Mississippi, but I'm not living up to stereotypes, guys. A name is not mentioned just because they're usually at or near the bottom, or at best they're at one of the bowl games we tend to gloss over, and that's Arkansas quarterback Taylon Green. Ooh. He threw for over 3,100 yards last year, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He also added 600 yards on the ground. he is a wild card because when he's on, he can't be stopped. When he's off, dear God, poor Arkansas.
Yeah.
If he can somehow get everything fixed and figured out, the coaches can coach him up and really develop him and get up here on straight. This guy could be a force come season's end, and he could probably be one of the better success stories in the SEC. And I'm not taking a slight at him as far as his intelligence level. I'm just talking about his confidence level and being able to see the field and be able to read things the way he needs to. Let it slow down. So if he's able to do that, my gosh, what can he do in this conference? He might even save his coach's job.
Yeah, I think Arkansas, to your point, Justin, I think they'll have a pretty decent year this year. I think they're gonna be fighting for I can easily see them at 7, maybe 8 wins. I think that'll be good enough for Arkansas. So Dan, we're talking about who you think out of all the quarterbacks has the biggest, could be the most overrated.
Man, I'm gonna say, listen to this now. You know, I'm gonna say Jackson Arnold at Auburn, and here's why. You know, so this is a quarterback. You know, he had a little bad half. You know, then he got benched. You know, got upset, he transferred. So you transfer to a program and a coach that has been known for throwing his quarterback under the bus.
Yep.
You know, so I wonder how that's going to work out. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he struggles. You know, Hugh Freeze starts losing a few games. You know, I wonder. You know, that's something. That's a situation that can turn bad, go south really fast. You know, so that's a relationship I'm going to be watching closely this year.
That's a very interesting one, Dan. And it's one, look, I know we make fun of the barn all the time, but when Freeze has had a quarterback, look what he did with Bo Wallace. I mean, let's be real. Bo didn't have much. He couldn't throw it 25 yards, but he was able to win with him. Right. Arnold's making more than Brock Purdy, who played in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, they obviously saw something in him. And he's got the receivers. They've got a receiving core down there. That's an interesting. This is a make or break time, but let's be real. And I don't want to jump the shark on the hot seat. You know, there's 2 teams on that schedule you got to beat as the Auburn head coach, but we'll get to that later. But that's a good Dan. Man, there's a lot of intriguing storylines. That's one of the more.
What is New Mexico State?
Ty,
Matt.
Yeah.
No, give me yours because I want just 1 minute to talk about something that I find very intriguing with SEC quarterbacks, a particular quarterback this year.
Okay, perfect. Mine are I'm gonna put half
name yours.
Chris CBS James receipt. I'm gonna do 2. Sellers and Nussmeier. I mean, I feel like Nussmeier gets a really lot of hype. I feel like it's because of his dad. Now he's good, but it's just nothing that wows me. When I hear people saying, "Oh, he's gonna be the number 1 pick," I'm just like, I just don't see the wow. Now he can make throws, and then my other one is Sellers because it's gonna be year 2. Like Luscion said, teams are gonna have a lot of tape on them. What's Shula gonna call? You know, it's gonna be interesting. Like I just, to me, I'm not as high on those 2 guys as other SEC quarterbacks. Ty?
Yeah, so a guy that I'm really interested in, and I wouldn't put him on a top 5 list because I don't believe he's there. And if I'm proven wrong, I'd be very happy to be wrong because that means that someone who's working hard is succeeding. That's awesome. But Aguilar at Tennessee. Now, hear me out, guys. He's coming from a system that's more read dependent, and he had ups and downs in that system. You're not asked to do a lot of reading at Tennessee. In fact, the offense pretty much makes the reads for you. If you get the safety in the box, you throw it. If the safety stays up high, you run it. We know what we know what Tennessee wants to do with that veer and shoot offense, right? Heupel makes it very quarterback friendly. So for a guy who's been asked to do a lot of reading, this is going to be massively simplified for him. And I'm curious to see how he does there. Now, the reverse of that is Nico. Nico was in a system that gave you the answers. Imagine having a multiple choice test and you have 8 different options. But at Tennessee, it's cut down to 3, and there's 2 possible correct answers. Nico doesn't have that anymore.
Great way
And
of putting that.
You guys know how high I am on Nico. I want him to succeed. I think his ceiling is very high. But I'm fascinated to see the dichotomy between how Aguilar does in a more simplified system where the reads are kind of predetermined, and Nico does when he's asked to read more. That's it.
Oh yeah,
I got a crazy take about Tennessee that I'll save for later in the show. So guys, get in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on either overrated SEC quarterbacks or top 5. So guys, we're sticking to the SEC theme, and let's go with our top 3 SEC rushing attacks. We're gonna go with my man that's next to me. We'll let Luscion Graves pop us off on his great analysis of top 3 SEC rushing attacks.
All right, we'll go with we'll start at the bottom, or my third one, and that's going to be the Georgia Bulldogs with Mr. Nate Frazier. He rushed for 671 yards on 133 carries last year, and out of all the running backs coming back, he's leading them with 8 touchdowns. I just think Georgia, I mean, the way their offense normally goes, they like to run the ball a lot, and with his running mate ETN going to the NFL, I think he sees a lot more carries, and that number and production number go way up. Second, give me the Florida Gators with Jaden Ball. He rushed for he had a good season last season, but I mean it's Florida, so their offense is kind of in a dumpster fire. We're not really sure what it's going to look like if DJ Legway is going to be able to throw. That's why I give the Florida Gators more of a rushing attack as of per I would a passing attack. That's why I got them number 2. And number 1 is the Texas Longhorns. I hate to say it, but the guy Trevor, or not Trevor, they got a guy that's going to anchor the line in Trevor Goodsby that is probably a top 25 lineman coming into the next season. And Trey Wisner could possibly be the best running back in the SEC. And I don't know the status of CJ Baxter, Todd, but I mean, they got an amazing, I know he was amazing before he went down last year, and having him as a number 2 and what that offensive line, and plus with the mind we all know that Steve Sarkisian is, I think that Texas is probably going to have the top rushing attack. I will do an asterisk. This is not a Chris James list. This is an asterisk.
Christian.
Alabama is going to be in the top 5 in the SEC in a rushing attack. I will say that. I do think with Ryan Grubb this season, how he likes to operate his offense, I do think Alabama gets into that top 5 in the rushing production in the SEC.
I totally agree. Let's go Dan, Pettey, then Ty.
Okay.
Every time you do it.
Let me start with Texas A&M. I think they're gonna have a very good, rushing attack. It's just because of the dual threat ability of a Marcel Reed, and you pair him with Le'Veon Moss. So it's gonna form a very formidable rushing attack. Also, like Lou mentioned, you got Florida with Jaden Ball. And the same thing, DJ Lagway, dual threat quarterback, be able to take some pressure off the running backs. And third, again, like Lou, I'm going to say Alabama, for a different reason. We won't be as dependent on the run. I think we'll be more of a balanced attack, but simply because of the weapons that we have in the backfield, it's going to be Ty Simpson. Then you got Rich Young, Jam Miller, So I think our passing game will be able to allow our running backs to showcase their talent more this year. So, and having Ryan Grubb, so he's going to be able to generate a very formidable rushing attack. So those are my top 3, I would say right now.
Dan. Daniel Pettey. Sorry.
I'm with Lou. Number one, if CJ Baxter's healthy, the one question, I guess, and Lou's right, they've got one of the top linemen, but they are replacing 4. But man, Texas has recruited that position so good. But yeah, the Wisner kid could be the best back in the league, and if Baxter comes back healthy, that 1-2 punch could easily put them in. I'm going to go a different route with number 2. I'm going to go with South Carolina. The Faison kid, the transfer from Utah State's 1,000-yard rusher, him combined kind of in the vein of what Dan was talking about with Lenora Sellers' ability to run. I think they're heavily going to rely on an RPO run game out of South Carolina, which could put them in the top 3. And my third, man, I'm glad to go a different route. I'm going to go with Missouri. They're a good rushing team under Drinkwitz. That's what they really – they're going to be in one of the top running teams, and they got one of the top transfers in the country in the Ahmad Hardy kid from La Monroe. He's expected to be able to do it at the SEC level, and if he can, I expect Missouri to be one of the top rushing attacks.
I like it. Did you have any more, Pettey, or was that it?
No, that's it. And I'm going to go, look, I give some Bama love on here, and not because we're on a Bama show. I do. If Young is what I think he can be, and the offense is more spread this year with where you're just more direct runs. I do. DeBoer's offenses, Grubb's offenses have shown they put up some good rushing numbers, so they could sneak in there. But got to see if Young becomes that guy, and I think he can.
Ty, close this out.
Yeah, another one, guys, where I think that this is, I put it in the private chat on our last topic. We could have done an hour-long show just on the top quarterbacks and the most overrated. I think that's a great topic. I think that's a great debate, and I think this one extends. Pettey, I was really thinking about putting the Mizzou kid on there because you're right. He's incredible. You want to know my big question for him, though? With Mizzou replacing a quarterback and Luther Burden not being there anymore, are they just going to face teams stacking the box, daring them to throw? I don't know. Now, the kid is fantastic. You are right. That's what almost makes me hesitant on Missouri. But that could easily turn around halfway through the season. And you're right. Drink has put together good rushing teams. So my top 3, number 1, it's going to be Texas. Everybody said it. Steve Sarkisian is a wizard. He is an absolute wizard. And we tend to think of Sark as a passing guy. He's a running guy. He uses play action to open up the pass. And if he has the ability to have an effective running game, he's going to have an effective running game. And he's going to use it to his advantage. CJ Baxter, Trey Wisner over 1,000 yards last year, home run hitter. And he just got better as the year went on. So that's my number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go in a different direction, guys. Mainly because I think that whenever we're looking at LSU, I have questions about the offensive line. So do you have a gadget guy to be able to get it done? Yes, they do. Caden Durham. This is a kid who was a track star in Texas. Like, I'm talking sub 10 300-meter dash. And we saw it against Bama where he had some big gains. This is a kid who they're going to get involved in every aspect of the running game and in the passing game. He's going to be a gadget player. I think he's in for a big season. Give me Caden Durham at number 2 in terms of just pure potential. Now, what that means for their rushing attack, I don't know. It depends on their offensive line. But like I said, I think the kid's so talented. You can use him so many different ways. He's going to be a problem. Number 3, Dan, I think you had a really intriguing one. Give me Texas A&M. You have the quarterback who's dual threat. You have Le'Veon Moss, who is a proven commodity in the SEC. Pettey, you hit it right. The only reason I don't have Bama on here, you got to show me. Right? Yeah. Do I think that Bama has the talent to be a top 3 rushing attack? No question. Daniel Hill, Jam Miller, Richard Young, Ack Deer, Kevin Riley, right? Dre Washington. Yes, show me. I just have to see it. And until I see it, I can't give him the nod over some teams that I've seen.
I like it. Well, I got too much crimson in me, so I'm going to go Alabama with the number 1.
I don't give a piss about nothing but
my guy.
Call me a homer. Man, so I think let us know in the chat your thoughts about top 3 SEC rushing attacks. That was a very good panel. So far, we're 2 for 2 on subjects.
Yeah, nailing it, fellas.
So let's keep it going. So listen, if you're gonna have a high profile rushing attack, gonna do a lot of running, you're gonna need something to wipe that sweat. And so why not go on over to wetwillsports.com and get you an amazing title towel from wetwillsports.com, made from Egyptian cotton, the finest linen there is. If you would use the promo code STANDARD at wetwillsports.com. Use the promo code STANDARD at wetwillsports.com. Ty, you like my transition? Was that pretty good?
I liked that. That was a great transition.
I was trying, because you set the bar so high, I was trying to at least get a little bit close to, to your segues, All right. So, guys, we're moving right along. So let's go to our next topic. And I think, we're staying in the SEC theme. Coaching hot seat SEC watch. I'm going to let you all say who wants to go first and jump right into it. I'm just going to let you all just pop off and see who you have. And
Are we just going to limit it to the SEC?
I thought we were doing coaches.
My bad. I'm sorry. My bad. SEC and more. Coaching hot seat. The Big Ten, SEC, ACC. I don't know, Pac-4. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know what these conferences are. So, guys, I'm not going to do a CBS receipt. So I want to get your thoughts on who is on the hot seat. Are y'all going to do one coach or two? How many are we doing? Two?
We'll do two.
Two. Okay, two.
Well, yeah, let's do one SEC and one non-SEC.
Oh, I like
that.
Ty, I see you over there thinking you want to start Papa's off.
No, let me ponder this for a bit.
Ponder okay. Let's go Pettey. Let's let Pettey go first.
SEC. I want to do one that I had to change. I think the obvious is in Baton Rouge. Like you're always on the hot seat at LSU. They fired guys with 800 winning percentages because they couldn't beat Bear, or they hired, if Kelly doesn't get it done, I think he's the one. But I'll say the one I think is on the hot seat with the biggest gamble that might have saved him, and that's Brent Venables at Oklahoma. He went, I think he hit a home run with getting the offensive coordinator from Washington State and bringing in the Mateer kid. That could have saved his damn job. But if that doesn't work, I also know Oklahoma. I listened. It's crazy. I got on a rabbit hole of watching some of their news reports. You listen to some news out of Oklahoma, they still look in the mirror as a blue blood, and they're not getting blue blood results. And if you feel that way, regardless if you are or not, that puts your coach in a predicament. I think Venables could be, but I think he might have saved it. I think those are the two. But, man, and I know we jump on him. Not going to do it much given what he's going through personally right now. But if you don't beat Georgia and you don't beat Alabama when you're at Auburn, you don't keep your job. And that's the bottom line. And he hasn't done it yet. He better hope. And I'll be honest, he can get the quarterback going in the offense. That's why I think Dan made a good point about that's a very interesting with Arnold and Freeze. But if Freeze doesn't beat Georgia and Bama this year, man, that seat's getting really freaking hot in Lee County. Non-SEC, Mike Norvell at Florida State. I think it's crazy. They screwed up with a quarterback situation. You get Cam Ward and you're in the playoffs again. Instead, your dumbass. I'll never understand the decision after watching this kid play to go get DJ Ukulele. But they did it, and regardless, your season crashed. Norvell's on the hot seat. They make a mistake again this year, Florida State will be looking for a new coach.
Damn.
Okay, yeah, that's a good pick, man, Mike Norvell. That's a very good one. SEC, so Pettey, you gave two of them.
Did I, Chris? Y'all can call. We called Chris out all night.
You gave like
y'all
three.
Can now say Pettey.
You gave like three.
No,
you gave
Chris. We're on like he's not here in the his spirit is sinking in all
doing
of
the
us
Chris
at some point.
I think he gave two SEC and one non-SEC. So So let me go somebody different. So I try to name somebody different. So let me go with Sam Pittman at Arkansas.
Obvious.
I thought he got an extra life. So this season could go really bad for him, and another very subpar year. Yeah, we can see a change. In Fayetteville. Non-SEC. Man, you took mine. I'm not gonna lie, Pettey. So I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna say Lincoln Riley at USC.
Oh, that's not a bad one
So
either.
That's one. He left the Big 12. And so to avoid coming to the SEC, I think that's the reason he did it. So then he's at USC now. Guess what? They joined the Big Ten. So they're gonna start getting. Luckily, in California though, he may have more time. People don't care as much about football in California they do in the southern region, East Coast. But
that's
I can see that seat heating up with a poor showing this year. I can see him. Either seat heating up or him just leaving, taking the NFL job.
Luscion Graves.
Well, pickings are pretty slim at this point. So I'm going to go with a guy who's been in hot water for the last couple seasons, and I don't think that water got any less hot. Give me Billy Napier from the SEC.
Ooh,
Florida
don't forget
has not been Florida in some time, and those orange, just disgusting looking uniforms down there, they don't like to lose, and they ain't been winning. We all see how the times go with coaches aren't winning and beating people. So I would say, yeah, Mr. Billy Napier in the SEC. Other than that, I'm going to go a different route here. In the Big Ten, give me Mr. Luke Fickell. Wisconsin has not been the Wisconsin that they've been the last couple of years. They've been getting bullied by teams like Maryland and, softer teams like, Michigan's been trouncing them. Northwestern got them. Like, that ain't the Wisconsin way. So I'll give me Luke Fickell as my non-SEC hot seat coach.
I like
that's a great pull, Luke.
And I got another question once we finish Ty's take. Ty, give us your take on coaching hot seat.
Once again, guys, absolutely, y'all are knocking it out the park. Listen, Pettey, I loved your two SEC picks, right? But I'm gonna lay the foundation, right? I'm gonna set the stage, make the table that we can all eat from. Join me on my Last Supper, if you will. Brent Venables inherited a team that was gutted when Lincoln Riley left, right? Caleb Williams left, a Heisman-winning quarterback gone. They didn't have a good year that first year, and in fairness to Brent Venables, his quarterback got knocked unconscious against TCU and missed several games. They didn't have the depth. The next year, they won 10 games. Now, this past season, disappointing season, I'll be the first to admit it. Seth Luttrell was a terrible hire at offensive coordinator, and they had a CVS Chris James list of injuries, okay? So I am willing to give Brent Venables a little bit more benefit of doubt because this is his first stint as a head coach, and he's dealt with an unbelievably bad luck. Unbelievably bad luck. But I do know when you hear the way recruits talk about that program, it does feel like there is something there. He has to find his footing. You know who doesn't have to find their damn footing because they've been a coach before? That's Hugh Freeze. Guys, Hugh Freeze won 6 games the first year, 5 games the second year. He's regressing. And he throws his players under the bus. He hasn't beaten Alabama. He hasn't beaten Georgia. If they lose both of those games this year and they don't make a bowl game again, yeah, he's cooked. He's cooked. I have him on a shorter leash than I do Brent Venables because he doesn't get the grace Brent Venables does. He didn't lose a Heisman caliber quarterback. He didn't have a CVS injury list of injuries, and he has been a head coach before in the SEC. This is not new to him, and he is not being able to make it home. As far as non-SEC coaches, listen, I try and be different. I try and give a different name, but damn it, when you're right, you're right. And Pettey, are you right? Mike Norvell. And I was over here so happy you mentioned DJU because everybody wanted to blame DJU. No.
They pick him.
He wasn't a second-year player. You had so much film on him, and Norvell chose him for that offense, which already didn't make sense. That offense already doesn't make sense to me. It's like watching your little brother play Madden when all he does is run 4 verts. You didn't get the quarterback that fitted, and your season tanked. Mike Norvell is the one for me that's not in the SEC.
And I'm speaking on Mike Norvell. I'm curious. You went and hired Gus Malzahn as offensive coordinator, which was kind of a head scratcher in my opinion. Seems like a very desperate move, and
super desperate.
I don't know how that's going to pan out because, I mean, do you have the talent? You probably got talent in a few positions, but I mean, I just think he's just, I don't know. I don't know if I would have went that route with a lot of young offensive coordinators that are in college football. Just my opinion.
The thing I say that he has going for him is he beat Alabama a couple of times. You know, that's it.
That's it.
That is it. You know, so you know that shows the value. You know what people think. You know, and I don't know. Maybe he's trying to.
That's the read. And you could be hiring the guy who's going to take your job.
Right.
I got a quick tie because I know you're a Texas guy and it's really entwined with Oklahoma because I think you nailed it because I had the same perception. If you paid any attention, like you said, Oklahoma was down to their 5th receiver who had a freshman quarterback throwing to them, and they still had a defense keeping them in games. So, you know, you didn't have to worry about the defense. But what shocked me is, like I said, I watched a few crazy – I don't know how the hell I found some news stations in Norman, and I was shocked at kind of the tone they had. And again, and I shouldn't be because Oklahoma is a blue blood in the history of the sport, but they still see it that way. I guess my question is, you're dead on. He's faced challenges that you kind of got to give him a pass on. But are they – look, let's be real. Are they Bama crazy, LSU crazy? Will they give him that grace?
They are. They are Bama crazy. They are LSU crazy, and that's what I think makes the Oklahoma. Y'all know I have a ton of respect for the Oklahoma Sooners and a ton of respect for
great
the fans because they're crazy. Yeah, that's why whenever the move was announced, Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, I was like, this makes perfect sense for the SEC. It's 2 crazy fan bases. Like, this is awesome. This is a great move for the. I think they will, Pettey, because my question would be, who are you going to get? Right? Your defense has been great. The only answer, and this is if they want to pay a massive buyout for Sharon Moore, who, by the way, played at OU. He is an OU alum. So it'd be the coming home for Sharon Moore. But if it's not Sharon Moore, like, are you going to promote Ben Arbuckle? Maybe the guy's got a very impressive record, but he's young. And I know Kenny Dillingham is doing it over at Arizona State. He's a super young guy. So maybe you do roll the dice. But I just look around the landscape right now and I'm like, man, if you get rid of Brent Venables right now, you're going to have a hit to recruiting. And who do you get to come in there and take the reins right now? That's a super interesting question.
Yeah. And that Oklahoma situation is a little bit more interesting, especially with Jim Nagy, the GM, coming from Reese's Senior Bowl.
That's a huge hire.
Yeah, that was pretty big hire. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know what. I know we're talking about Venables, but Pettey. I mean, Pettey. What do you think saves Venables' job? 7, 8 wins again, or is that not enough?
I would say 8 wins. It would have to be 8 wins, you know. Yeah.
7 won't do it?
No. No,
No. And man, a lot of it's how it looks too. You know,
Right.
again, seasons get crazy, injuries happen. You know, but if it goes to chalk, things stay healthy. Yeah, I think he's got to get at least 8 wins, or it's going to get dicey.
I got an honorable mention. I know nobody really cares about this school, this coach, because they're technically a basketball school. Stoops in Kentucky. Listen,
It's a good one.
I think he could be on this list if they don't look any better. He's done pretty good the past couple of years or so, for Kentucky standards, but I can easily see him,
Man,
they're not panning out.
He's like the 13th man on the bench in basketball. This guy you just don't know.
I question Kentucky's commitment to put up the money to get rid of him.
Yeah, I agree.
But and then the thing with him, you only notice he's coaching Kentucky football when he wins a big game.
Yeah,
so really nobody cares about Kentucky football.
Yeah, that is so true.
Well, he went Ole Miss and last year, so he got one big one.
And he almost had Georgia last
year.
Right.
That's when you remember, Stoops is here. That's right.
Maybe he gets
the thing is he's been good for 7 or 8 wins a season, but last year was kind of the anomaly. The question is, can he get them back to that 7-8 win plateau with what they brought?
I mean, what better can you do? You know what I'm saying?
Well, when your school cares more about basketball, and let's be real, Stoops has openly said, I'm the only SEC coach that has to fight basketball, money being, and I'll be honest, and it's gotten worse since Cal left. And people know the dichotomy of Kentucky. When Cal was there, Cal did a lot of that, money on his own. They didn't have to dig from the football program because it was kind of a self-sustaining machine. When Cal left, that money had to start kind of being diverted. And I promise you, Bear Bryant left Kentucky because he learned real quick where they put their emphasis after winning an SEC championship. And he got a watch, and Adolph Rupp got a damn Cadillac. So Kentucky will let you know real quick what they care about most. So they're in a weird spot with NIL where it's now even gotten tougher on Stoops to get back to even that 7-8 win plateau.
Okay, real quick, rapid fire. I got to throw another change up or a curveball. Most overrated coach in the SEC. I'm gonna go first. I'm not as high on Shane Beamer as I feel like a lot of people give him credit for. So
that's why you wanted to go first. You got
I'm gonna open the floodgates. I'm gonna let y'all get who y'all think is the most overrated coach. It don't have to be the SEC. It could be somewhere else. But who do you think is the most overrated coach?
Oh, well, if that makes it easier on me.
For you guys, if the Shane Beamer talk kind of took it, Ty, I want to get your take.
This is easy. This is very easy for me. So easy. I'm gonna pull a Chris J. Yeah, I feel so bad for Chris because
Chris has just been like a voodoo doll punching boy tonight.
I'm gonna give you 2. 1, Hugh Freeze. Because I get he had some good seasons. He would go and win a big game and then drop it to the Bishop Sycamore. You don't know what you're getting with Hugh Freeze. There has never been any consistency ever with Hugh Freeze. And now Auburn, the school that fired their head coach for staging an incident of moral turpitude, who then hired Hugh Freeze with a laundry list of allegations that don't exactly scream moral turpitude. That's where I'm putting my bastion of consistency. No, not at all. So that's number 1. Number 2 is Brian Kelly. I'm questioning where he ranks in both TikTok dances and SEC coaches right now. Because when I look at Brian Kelly, that defense is terrible. Terrible. And you're LSU. And listen, Bama has a rivalry with LSU. We shouldn't ever say that. We should never say LSU defense terrible for more than a season. We're going on 3. It's going to be bad.
Let's go, Lou. It don't have to be in the SEC. Most overrated.
Do it.
The most overrated coach, I think, in all of college football is easily, without question, two people. Ryan Day and Dabo Swinney are the most overrated individuals in college football.
Drop the mic.
Like, yeah, Ohio State won the national championship. Yeah, they get one. Well, they get one a decade. That's cool. Clemson has not been heard of in eons. And I get, yeah, they got a good team this year. We hear that every year about Clemson. They're so good. Dabo's going to do it. Dabo didn't do it. He ain't going to do it again. So, yeah, those are my two. Overrated.
Boom.
Overrated and most hated in my eyes.
I kind of think I know where Pettey's going, but I'm going to say Pettey for last. Dan, a most overrated coach, either in the college or SEC.
Okay, definitely in college still. You know, I'm going to go with Lincoln Riley again. You know, he's a great offensive mind. I just don't think he is going to be ever a successful head coach. But, yeah, guys, I got to step away. But, you know, I'm going to let y'all know, you know, tomorrow night on the Crimson Dynasty, you know, y'all be sure to tune in. We got a very, very special guest. We're going to have the great Alabama legend, Antonio Langham, on the show. So y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Central. Y'all tune in to the Crimson Dynasty tomorrow. You know, we're going to have a great show and an awesome guest. You know, Alabama legend, you know, my hero from the 92 season, you know, Antonio Langham. So y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow. And guys, you know, I want to thank y'all for having me on tonight. Got to step away, you know, but I enjoyed y'all. Follow me on Twitter, X at the Final Whistle Dan, you know, and y'all take care. Tune in tomorrow.
Calls.
That's right.
May the force be with you.
Dan, I want to get your take. I mean, Daniel Pettey.
If somebody can cite to me a big game that James Franklin has won, I'll take his ass off this list. Just name it. I'll sit here and wait.
I'm gonna throw a good one on y'all.
James, what get big game? The one, and look, I know he catches heat. I'm with Ty. I watched it. No man has carried 2 wins over Alabama to greater heights than Hugh Freeze, because nobody forgets he literally lost the next week after that game in Tuscaloosa 30-0 to Florida. In that season, he lost to Mike Norvell and Memphis. Like you can't. I get he can get his team up for a game every once in a while, but he can also blow New Mexico State with the best of them. Pause. It's Franklin for me. It's Franklin and Hugh Freeze. Franklin, again, win a big game. I liked Lincoln Riley, the call. I thought that was a good one. I'm with Kelly, too. Brian Kelly, man. What have you done? Like, do some shit. Ryan Day, he got a title, but shit. He had, like, give me an NFL team. I'll go get you a title, too. Hell, Ed Orgeron won a title when he had all the pieces in place. I mean, morons can win titles. Yeah, I love Hugh Freeze in the SEC and James Franklin nationally. That dude's a chump.
I got somebody, but I'm gonna save it for another show.
Van Edwards does not like Bobby Hill at Tennessee. He's throwing him in there.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go, but I didn't want to be so controversial.
No, go for it. Go get. Let's get on the line.
Like he's just. I feel like. I mean. He's getting in that lane. You mentioned Hugh Freeze and coaches who beaten Alabama, and they just, you know, where there's Gus Malzahn, Hugh Freeze, and they just wear that on their resume. I feel like that's where he's going to be going, in my opinion. Hey, you beat Alabama, you're good. But outside of that, what else has he won? You know, in my opinion. So, and plus it's Tennessee. And it's just like a garbage truck workers convention.
Hey, low down.
He's the most hated coach. He's the most hated coach.
Oh man,
we hate him. If you're an Alabama fan and you really like that dude, we have a problem. We have a serious, serious problem. He's a coach at the worst university in the conference. Come on now.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well.
Yeah, I want you to answer that too, Ty, because I almost had Ty on our show last night because we discussed one of the questions. I saw that, Ty.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm about to have to run as well, guys. So I did want to answer this from 12-1 training. He says, can Ty give his thoughts on Saban speaking with Trump about NIL and possibly getting an executive order in place? So Pettey had called me yesterday and was kind of asking me about this. And from where I'm standing, and I'm going to give you, I think, the best case scenario if an executive order is passed. The executive order in and of itself is a stepping stone. The hope with the executive order is that you would then have congressional office, or you would have congressional movement to then codify it so that way it's more permanent. There's a reason why the NCAA was lobbying Congress, because right now they can't pass the Sherman Act. And for those of you that know, you know what the Sherman Act is. If you don't, the Sherman Act is an act that governs antitrust law within the United States. That's the big hurdle right now for the NCAA. And it all stems from, one, the NCAA's total lack of action. They have the foresight of an apple. It's actually pathetic the lack of work they've done over the past few decades is awe-inspiring. I hope to one day fail upwards as the NCAA has done. But Justice Kavanaugh busted this wide open in Alston, right? Whenever he talked about, like, you can't operate a business on the theory that you just don't have to pay your basically workers a fair market wage. So I see this lawyer now talking about how this is unnecessary. Oh, Saban, he never wanted NIL and he profited tens of millions of dollars and now he doesn't want the players. That is the most, excuse my language, but that is the biggest bit of bullshit I've ever heard from a guy who has a financial interest in the house settlement going forward. You're throwing stones from a glass house, my guy, and you think we're too stupid to see it. Not at all. You have a financial interest in house going forward, and there not being this legislation passed. What House would do is essentially try and make these guys employees, right? And I think that's what Saban wants. Saban's not against NIL. So when this lawyer is speaking saying Saban doesn't want this, one, it makes me realize this guy doesn't really know what Nick Saban is about. He doesn't know what Nick Saban has said in the past because Nick Saban has been an advocate for name, image, and likeness. Nick Saban has talked about creating value for players. Nick Saban wants that, but Nick Saban also wants revenue sharing. That way, every guy on the roster is making at some level something. And for this lawyer to come out and be like, oh, you made all this money and you don't want the players to, it's absolutely laughable. And especially when you're set to make hundreds of thousands of dollars representing your case through these courts, like, what are you getting paid, man? If you're throwing Nick Saban's check out there, what are you getting paid to do all of this? You have a vested interest, and you didn't contribute to these kids making money. Let's be very clear here. Nick Saban at least did through helping these kids create value that they could then utilize in NIL. Bryce Young making $1 million+ through NIL. One, because Bryce is incredible. Two, because the Alabama brand. But three, because Nick Saban helped him create value. So that to me was laughable. But 12-1, the executive order, if it's used correctly, would be used as a stepping stone for congressional action. That way, the NCAA would then be able to try and scapegoat where they are currently not passing judicial scrutiny. And that's the Sherman Act. That is this antitrust violation that they continue. Now, in a perfect world, two things happen. You could have the executive order that gets codified and you have revenue sharing so that way, if there's ever any judicial question in the future, it's answered. I've said this before, guys. This is the last bit I'll say. The NCAA is so powerless right now. All the fans are wondering, why doesn't the NCAA do something about the transfer portal? They tried. Last January, they tried to make it a one-time transfer again, and a judge in West Virginia, not a Supreme Court judge, a judge in West Virginia put in a 14-day injunction saying, for the next 14 days, I'm making this ruling by the NCAA frivolous. It doesn't mean anything. You can transfer as many times as you want. What did the NCAA do? They bowed out the fight. Why? Because they knew ever since Alston, Kavanaugh put a target on their back. And if they don't have something codified from either Congress, or if they can pass the Sherman Act and pass judicial scrutiny, they're not going to be able to do anything about the transfer portal, about the nature of NIL right now. That's why revenue sharing is so important to me, because it at least helps them pass judicial scrutiny. That's all I have.
All right, Todd, thanks for ending us on that subject. So let's stick with Q&A.
Use that picture, Pettey.
Hugh Freeze and coaching from the hospital is diabolical.
Priceless.
Diabolical. So let's go to Q&A. Since Todd, have a good one. Thanks, sir. So that was a great question from 20 and 1, 12 and 1.
12 1, that's a good one.
Kennedy says Deuce Knight's potential versus Keelan Russell.
Not even on the same planet.
I'm taking Keelan Russell.
Deuce Knight's raw. Deuce doesn't have near the polish. Like, he's not. Deuce is a raw. I mean, he's got talent. The kid's got it, but he isn't near, not even close to the same level as Keelan Russell's ability and polish.
Thank you, Kennedy.
So good news, Bama fans. You got the better end of that deal.
Yeah.
Auburn's guys just more like fidget spinners. They look fast, but they just go in a circle.
Van, that was always dropping.
Van bringing heat.
Always bringing the heat. 21, 12 and 1, 12-1 training.
The 20 on the thing, that's what's throwing you is the picture.
Brian Kelly.
I say Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly. LSU there's not a hotter seat in college football next to Alabama than LSU.
USC.
LSU's fired multiple national champion winners in the last decade.
Who could be?
Yeah, but have they fired anybody on the tarmac?
They have not. Who could be the new Candy? I don't know, man. The last Candy down at the Foxy Hollow Strip Club was really good. It's going to be hard to replace her. It depends on if she has all of her teeth and how sag. Oh, wait, we're probably talking about Vandy if I know, because I've typed that a billion times and it always turns out Candy. Who is the new could be? So who is the SEC? Are we talking SEC or national, Kyle? Because SEC, man, the only one that's left on the bottom would be Mississippi State. Everybody else has kind of picked themselves off the mat. State's the only like really trash program right now, right?
Yeah.
Other than Auburn.
I'd take Auburn's lot over Starkville's right now.
There's no way in hell I would ever take Auburn over anything except maybe a Tennessee. That's standing on principles.
Who could be? Trump going to put tariffs on Auburn for exporting bad football and making money do it. Good Lord.
Please do it.
You know, Hugh ain't been right since his massage oil got put on lockdown since Diddy got locked up, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe Hugh just needs his hookup back.
Maybe.
What can Stoops do with K-Law that DeBoer couldn't? We had Barry and Brown and didn't do anything with him.
Maybe stay healthy. I don't know.
I mean, it's what can he get out of Calzada? I don't. Nothing. I heard it's a great question, man. What's funny is we're doing this segment on burning questions in the SEC, and at the end of each of them, I'm looking at new faces for each team. There's literally a Bama cast off on like every team right now in the SEC. It's very weird. Just saying. Found that odd. Chief Freeze coach from bed once, but that's how I played Madden, so I'm not impressed.
Van is on it. Oh my gosh.
Talking about that, Van?
Yeah. This
I'm
is
with
James Franklin most overrated. Christian Love. I can see that.
I agree. I think I don't get the James Franklin love. Win a game, James.
Basically.
They don't have to win games in the Big Ten, Pettey.
Well, they win like they beat all like the Purdue's, and then he loses to Ohio State and Michigan. That's what he does.
That's what he does.
Well, Ohio State ain't beat Michigan in 4 years. They still won the Natty.
Yep.
So don't yeah. That's what happens when you're cupcaking every week.
Basically. How do y'all think? Sorry. Let me answer this. How do y'all think Belichick's first season turns out? Listen, it's whatever his girlfriend says, because she looks like she's crazy.
Did y'all see their picture from 2000?
No, I didn't see
it. Was creepy.
He's a baby and he still has white hair. It's amazing.
Oh man.
I think now to answer it, Christian, I think it's a bust. I think he thought he could come in and do what Saban did, but Saban was fit for the college game. Belichick's always been an NFL guy, and he's doing shit that you might could have done in college football 20 years ago, like with the no numbers and crap like that. I don't think this experiment goes well. I actually think Belichick bust at North Carolina.
Lou, you go first.
I think that this is probably the worst thing to happen to college football. You have a Patrick Mahomes' brother personality in the coaching system as Belichick's girlfriend. This is going to be an absolute dumpster fire, and I am here and ready for it. I think it's going to crash and burn, and I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to see it.
I agree.
Yeah, to your point, Lou, we could talk about his old school ways, whether or not they're applicable to this generation of athlete with NIL and transfer portal. But one of the things that was not common about Bill Belichick when he was in the NFL was allowing distractions and drama. Well, he's allowing that to enter into his program, and he haven't played the first snap of a regular season. His girlfriend is making the headlines more than the team is, and she's making it for the wrong reason. If he's allowing that, that's not the Belichick that made him successful in the NFL level. And if it continues, North Carolina is going to drop they'll be the old Vandy. So
I agree.
You're not going to be able to see his genius or potential genius on the forefront if he's just allowing it to be a circus.
I agree. I think that, to y'all's point, I think his girlfriend is going to be more of a story, and I think that's going to hurt him. And I give it 1 year. I mean, it won't be worth the drama because it seems like the girlfriend story is the bigger than the program, and I think she's kind of out there, and I don't know. I don't know if she's got him hypnotized or whatnot, but it just seems very crazy, and I don't think the money at North Carolina.
No football team's undefeated, but something else is.
well, Matt, let's take it from your perspective. If you're a player and you're watching that parade around the field, the practices, locker rooms, and meetings, how much buy-in do you have for your coach if that's being allowed?
It's a disaster. I think this is a train wreck.
Yeah, I think it's 1 year. I give it 1 year. I agree.
Hey,
Sean, what you gonna say?
Does anybody else find this creepy that this kind of reminds you of the script to Pretty Woman?
Yeah, well, the thing is,
guy, young chick. She might have had a very questionable past.
Yeah, but the difference being Richard Gere's character at the end of the day was still a successful businessman and didn't cause his business to go under. We're looking at a phenomenal crash possibly happening before our eyes unless he completely cuts it out.
But you just said successful. Belichick does have rings on top of rings.
Yes.
On top of rings.
Right. That's old Belichick minus distractions and drama in entertainment tonight.
I'm not going to lie. After the last few years, I'm at that broken give a shit meter that this girl's probably at. Like, it's not a bad investment plan.
I just think it's going to be a train wreck
on the ticker. Come on, man. Like that's how much she doesn't give a shit. I'm gonna marry this dude and hope he, croaks it.
I think it's going to be a train wreck.
Agreed. Straight dumpster fire.
Man,
uniforms are going to look good though.
They look good, but how good are they going to look when Duke's stomping their ass in the ground?
Yeah.
Not just Duke. It's going to be Virginia Tech. Freaking
hell, Virginia Commonwealth.
I know.
Wofford.
Georgia Tech going to beat them. Actually, I think Georgia Tech's a sleeper. They might be one of the top in the ACC this year.
Absolutely.
Haynes King's a gritty bastard. That dude will get it.
They've got a really good coach. He doesn't get enough credit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got moxie and a big set of stones.
Yep.
Big set of stones.
He's from the Saban coaching tree. So there you go. Got it honest.
Well, all right, guys. We're going to close this thing out in an untoxic fashion, not like Belichick's girlfriend. But listen, stay on the Bama Standard Network. As you heard, tomorrow we got the Crimson Dynasty with Antonio Langham, the legend, 4-3 himself. It's going to be on that show. We got so many shows. Pettey, can you shout out your other shows that you're doing?
Absolutely. Monday nights, opening kick with my man Smoke Dixon, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Man, we're always stirring it up on that show. Again, talking all SEC. We're going to talk a little Bama next week. What's the biggest question for Bama facing next season? Also, though, man, I'm on the Bama Standard before this show, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. Guys, I can't implore you more in this era where we're losing connections to the players because they come and go so quick. Check out tonight's episode. Cam Dewberry was on there. You get to know a kid, the transfer from Texas A&M. He won't be a one-year mercenary to you after the show. You'll actually have a kid you'll be a fan of.
Pettey,
yo,
you had him on the show. Did you ask him why they do that stupid ass thing with the pants?
He sure did.
Okay.
You not think I asked him 3 questions. Hey, what is it, that you're obviously coming here for your last year. That's one step. You're coming to Alabama because you feel like it can give you the best chance. You can play at Alabama and then a chance to go to the NFL at every kid's dream. What can you do to get better on? Who's the toughest dude you faced? And when you got to Texas A&M and noticed all the cheerleaders were dudes wearing 1950s milkmen outfits, did it kind of freak you out? And he's like, dude, he didn't even hesitate. He's like, oh, yeah, it's a cult over there. He's great. He is funny as shit. He's got a great personality, but, dude, he's got a fire. And, again, he was ragging on some dudes' NCAA ability. Again, in an era where we're losing that connection to the teams, where you don't even know who your starters are in game one, go check this out. You'll be a fan of this kid. You'll be pulling for him. He actually, the first question, Lou, Justin asked, and I didn't think he would answer it this good. If the offensive lineman got into a Royal Rumble, who would win? Dude gave a thorough, thought-out answer. It was great. Like, well, of course, we'd have to take out Proctor first. We'd all have to take his big ass because, he was breaking it down, like, strategically on how. And then, he's like, look, I probably would get tossed out. And then he thought about it for a second. He's like, oh, no, hell no. I'm going to be in the finals on this thing. He answered it better than it showed. The kid's got a hell of a personality. He can answer good questions. You'll be a big fan of him. And again, check that show out. So I'm on the Bama Standard for this. Check it out. Check out tonight's episode. Cam Dewberry, Texas A&M transfer. And then Tuesday night, the main thing, the guys that gave me the platform with the Avengers Tuesday night here on the Final Whistle, always cutting it up with my man Lou, my man Matt, all the other guys that I guess they had to go watch Andor before they fell asleep or turned into freaking pumpkins like Tennessee people.
Looks like they're doing that right now on their phones.
Go watching Andor?
Yeah, that's what I'm watching. Luscion, how can they find you, sir?
You can always find me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Rolu241, Facebook and Instagram, Luscion Graves. And on Tuesday night, you can find me exclusively on the Final Whistle Network with the greatest cast, talking about the greatest damn team and the greatest damn sport in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And don't forget, them Georgia Bulldogs made it an entire week without getting pulled over for anything. I think we need to go ahead and give them a big round of applause.
Round of applause, Georgia Bulldogs.
Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs for not being felons for a weekend. We salute you.
We salute you. And I saw that GTA 6 trailer is out there. Georgia's football.
Georgia's on the cover. They made the cover.
They got a feature on there. It's called Driving in Athens. So
most teams are hoping to make the cover NCAA football. Georgia made it for Grand Theft Auto. Congrats.
Grand Theft Auto. Well, listen, guys, that's the cast. Follow us. Come back. Tune in the next week. We got some exciting topics that we're going to add to it. And listen, tell some friends about the show. We're getting closer. I think we're, less than 10 weeks away from college football season. So, listen, tune in here on the Bama Center Network, here on the Final Whistle. Same time, same channel. We like to end on those two words that we are so glorious to us. RTR, roll tide,
roll daggum tide.
Nothing but roll tide.
And Pettey says, hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.
Blitz.